Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another one of our live streams. Apologies for a slight delay tonight. We were having some technical difficulties on this end. Microsoft is like, oh, you need to update your graphics drivers in order to get this latest version of this. I'm like, well, that won't be a problem. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. So you can imagine exactly how much fun that was probably trying to get all that stuff worked out. But tonight we have a wonderful live stream planned for you. We are here in Southern California, nice and hot. Although I think it says it's only 15 degrees Celsius. I imagine it gets quite a bit colder here. We're packing the Douglas DC-3, Douglas Commercial version 3, the sequel to the DC-2. And I was reading this really fun article about this aircraft, and I'll tell you a little bit about it along the way, but we've got some flying to do, so I definitely want to get to it. So let's go ahead and get our handy-dandy cow flaps in the correct position here. I love the fact these are the clippy-clappy kinds and not the button-pushy kinds like we get on an Antonov. We'll go ahead and make sure our mixture is set correct. For some reason, they put the default mixture position all the way forward. You're supposed to get it on the first notch, which is right there. So snap that on. Fuel looks good. All these different gauges look good. Initial direction looks good for our initial takeoff here. And we should definitely be on our way. Let's go ahead and check one more thing here. I just want to make sure that, there we go. I want to make sure my external instruments are working properly here. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach just a teeny bit here. I'm going to go up to my handy dandy little GNS. So one of my buddies here provided me with a copy of this particular unit. It's the handheld version of this as opposed to the conventional version of this, which makes it a little bit easier for us to fly. So you know how it goes, kind of a thing like that. We could do conventional navigation. The upside and downside to that, of course, is if we do conventional navigation, I'm probably going to get lost between these two mountains over here when we lose a VOR signal, but that's all right. All right, let's do it to it. We already have everything locked in. And the most interested number I am is desired track. This is a 177. It's going to be our initial heading for those of you joining us. For those of you who are flying with us this evening, by the way, we are in the East USA server, and you want to make sure you have all players enabled inside your settings so that you're able to kind of pop on with us. Otherwise, we'll catch up to you once we get up airborne here. All right, all my initials are set up here, and we're ready to rock. Let's go. One thing that's really irritating about this aircraft, by the way, if you haven't flown this one in Flight Sim, there's actually a mod that simplifies this aircraft a little bit, just because of how incredibly challenging it is to take off on this thing stably. Basically, the problem you get on this is it tends to wander, and that's putting it lightly, as you'll see in just a moment here. Oh, I love how angry that sounds. Off we go. Of course, what did it do? It took the crosswind runway. Now watch what this aircraft does. Here it goes. And the left-right begins. Whee! On the way. Love it. Love every bit of it.
Continue for west departure.
Look at how awesome and brumbly this thing is. That is such an airplane. Oh man, what a piece of history. Let's see here. At least it gives you... Okay, now I can actually have time to go ahead and read all the chat now that I was able to get all the different issues that it was facing kind of out of the way. Let's take a look what everybody was talking about tonight. Alrighty then. Woo! Let's see here. Can't find the departure airports. Oh, we're here. Let's see here. Sounds incredible. Quite nervous, but quiet. No wind. Should be good. Never...
Did you hear my last transmission?
Yeah, I did hear you, but that's usually not what they say. Don't judge my landing. Oh, this thing is so much fun to land. And it's good. And we're on our way. Fantastic. Now, one of the fun things, of course, of flying in this part of California is there's a lot of people who like to fly in this region. So expect to see quite a bit of shenanigans and goings on along the way here. This thing all balanced out. Probably flip the cow flaps over to the trail position. I'm going to pop this. I don't like the idea of leaving this all the way cranked open. Apparently, they create an enormous amount of drag. See all these buildings and airplanes? We're basically heading in this direction. So once I get on course, I'll just kind of swing over there and we should be perfectly fine. Not bad. Not bad in the slightest. MSG? Why do I have MSG on my airplane? Yeah, because everybody's basically over Los Angeles looking at the Hollywoodland sign over here. So, you know how it is. That looks pretty good. here. Now, the cool thing here is as we're flying out of this region, you're going to see this very, very large area where it's going to be this open field. Then there's nothing, and then all of a sudden there's mountains, and then it's like the sprawl. That's exactly what I mean when we get there. Couple taps of that old trim there. Not bad. Not bad at all. And we're on our way. All right.
Leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
Frequency change. I've never actually gotten that one before. What I'll get in the real plane is they'll say contact departure. Or they just won't say anything. So the worst thing that'll happen, though, is you'll be talking to them, and you'll be like, I'm out of airspace. Can I change frequencies? Can I talk to departure? Please. And they'll be like, all right, you can contact departure. And it's like, yay, they love me. Let's take a look at the old systems. I love how there's this giant red light to let you know. Wheels up or down and unlocked, or valve not neutral. That's a lot of ands and ors in one sentence here. All right, cylinders are beautiful, oil's beautiful, temps are beautiful, speeds are good. We are definitely on our way. I see somebody's got a Cessna 310. All right, let's go say hi to everybody today. Limes Flyer, welcome back. Sinestro, welcome back. Long time no see. Iris, welcome back. Dude McDonald, long time no see. Welcome back. And I believe Simon is out there somewhere. Looking in this direction. Quite a bit of traffic, obviously. It is a Saturday night. So we'll go ahead and kind of take a look at some of the stuff that's that way. So speaking of the Douglas DC-3, when I used to work at the New England Air Museum, where I actually worked for 10 years, believe it or not. I've told many stories on live streams about all the different types of tour groups I've had. I've had Coptic religious folks, in the full garb. I've had people who are 3, 4, 5 years old. I've had model airplane clubs, and those are very tough to give tours to because they know everything. So it's really more of a tour for me than it was a tour for them. But one of the fun things we actually had was a DC-3 at the New England Air Museum. So one of the cool things we would do, of course, is we go climbing in. Unfortunately, they don't give us the door here, so we can't open it up. It was a C-49 because we had the door on the other side. But you would open up the door, and people would come climbing up here. This is a 12-degree incline, by the way. This is a massive mega tail dragger. People would come all the way down. They'd plop in the seat like this and go, thunk. And this seat material, you can't really see it well here, but this kind of like red kind of cushion that they actually have. It was like, if you imagine kind of like beat up, like I call it kind of grandma and grandpa kind of furniture, sort of a thing like that. You'd sit on it, like one of those kind of a things, and then you grab onto this control. Now, if you didn't know, the materials are actually fabric in order to make them a little bit lighter and easier to maintain in the event they took damage. So as a result, they're actually very easy to move, despite the fact that this is, supposed to be an airliner. Now, one thing that I miss, of course, was in the version that we had at the Air Museum, a lot of this instrumentation was lower, and we didn't have this honking compass here. They actually took that out. Also, several of the different options up here they didn't have. They had a totally different starting system. And this guy, you better believe they didn't have that on a World War II era. We didn't have anything this nice. It was the old cranky kind where you had like a knob sort of like this here, and you'd have a little window right here where you go click, 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 and it would change the frequency in the window. It's just so amazingly old-fashioned and awesome in absolutely every way. But it was such a cool airplane. Absolutely awesome airplane. Love stuff like that. All right, we should be getting up to our cruise altitude. We're looking at about 7,000 feet or so today, so we're not going to be going crazy high. Another fun thing about the DC-3, not pressurized. So, you can fly this thing with the window open the whole flight if you want to. I don't necessarily recommend it. One of the fun things I was reading about the DC-3s, actually, was one of the pilots was saying that it was light rain outside, heavy rain inside, because these windows would leak so bad. So it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, oh, you definitely, bring a raincoat kind of a thing like that. And it has, oh my God, the old school wipers where you crank these things. Oh, is this the style where it's the hydraulic? Yep. So basically you open this up and you have a little hydraulic pump here, and it would pump through these little valves to actually run the windshield wipers. Because the crazy insanity thing is these are square windows on the front of an air. Makes me crazy. All right, 7,000 feet is our cruise altitude. We'll go ahead and trim up for cruise here. One of the nice things about this aircraft is they make the cruise settings really easy to identify. All you have to do is pull this until it turns blue. Ooh, excellent question. I'll tell you about that in a minute, actually. All right, we'll close that off. Close that off. I love this. Oh, I think this airplane is just, it's so easy to fly. It is just a peach. Same stall speed is like a 172 if it's light. All right, idiot check. One last time. We are the correct RPM. We are at the correct pressure. All right, leaning the mixture. Watch this. It goes click and it snaps. Ready, and click. That's it. Mixture leaned. That's how simple this aircraft is. Like, they really, really, really simplified it to make it much, much easier for us. But believe it or not, that is how the real one works. There's little D10s. You go click, click, which is why it's got this little right handle to pull it out of the D10 just to make it easy. The cruise power on this thing is as low as 40% takeoff power, which just gives you an idea of how easy this thing is just to go cruise mode on, which I think is just amazing. And it's so cool. A fun trick we played at the Air Museum too with the DC-3 is what I actually had done is I was hiding up in the cabin, and we had another tour guide bringing up a bunch of, I don't know, call them 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, kind of a thing like that. And the tour guide, of course, said, "Have you ever seen an airplane wink before?" And that was my cue to grab the yoke here and crank it hard to the left, which caused, of course, our little aileron over here to go, and the kid lost it because he did not expect that airplane to suddenly come alive when the poor person actually said it. I think I did quite a bit of damage as a tour guide to children, unfortunately. One of the fun things you could always do, too, is explain how ejection seats work. And one of the best ones ever is in an F100, an A model, which is the little tiny short tail version. They actually had a situation where the kid actually pulled the ejection handle, but obviously you don't have an armed ejection seat inside of a museum piece. But of course, when you pull that, there's a little metal latch that goes ting like that, and the whole seat rises up like, quarter of an inch kind of a thing like that as it releases. But it was enough to make the kid think he was going to die kind of a thing, expecting to be basically launched into the roof of the hangar. And he was not happy. That was not a happy person. That was not a happy dad either, which was like, whoopsie daisies. Sorry about that. Just take a look real quickly. I just want to check to make sure everything's okay. Cylinders are beautiful here. Manifold pressure's good. Fuel's good. We're running on a half tank here today. It makes it a little easier to land this thing. Really, really funky thing on here. These handles are all your hydraulic controls on here. So as annoying as this looks, you actually have one that controls the engine pump. And if you take a look, they give you a little handy-dandy guide here that says, if you intend to use the gyro pilot, put it into the left position. Good to know. The other one they have here is, this is so confusing, but this is your flap selector. This is actually your manual, which is down here on the floor. And this is your gear selector. What you're actually doing with this is the gears are hydraulically held in place. So when you push this handle down, you're basically reducing the pressure to let the wheels drop out on their own. And another fun thing about the wheels, if you've never seen this before, but these wheels, you can actually operate the brakes when they're in the inside position like this. So for some reason, obviously you lose both propellers in the landing, but if we had to stop, we actually could safely stop this plane, even though that's in that particular case. It's just, I don't know, it's so clever. And then performance-wise, there's actually a float plane version of this, which I think is absurd. I can't imagine landing this thing on water. There's the Russian version, the Li-2, which is actually really wild because their version was actually a tricycle landing gear version, which just like, what? I didn't think you could do a tricycle version of an airplane like this, but I guess you can. There was a couple other versions with like the left door, the executive transport, the regular version. It's just wild. And the number of these that they made is absurd. And that's another thing which I always find super duper interesting with it. All right, let's see how we're doing here. We have Navigraph now. That's been interesting. Navigraph is a neat company. I wish this stuff was just a little bit cheaper. Like for a hobbyist, but for folks who like to do the virtual airlines, yeah, definitely. It'd be pretty sweet. Let's see what we're doing here. Oh, we are so good. Look at that. I've just been using the Think system most of this time, and we're absolutely killing it right now, so we're doing fine in that regard. That was my navigator. He just came up to me and handed me a piece of paper, and I looked at it and said, "Thanks, Chief." And I sat down and made my little adjustments to the gyro pilot, which I've got this thing all queued up right here. We're basically right on course. We're cruising. So now the neat thing is California. I'll leave the DC-3 alone for a second here, even though it's such an amazing plane. Hey, dude, nicely done in the 310. My buddy used to fly these. He actually would do survey work, and one of the cool things about the survey work that he would do is he basically took one of these up to 15,000 feet, got on supplemental oxygen, and did this pattern for 6 hours at a time. And then, of course, you'd land, get some gas, go back up, and then you do it again. And this is how they took their pictures. And it was crazy just how expensive those photographs actually were for people who do aerial photography like that, the survey work. Absolutely wild how some of that stuff actually kind of shakes out once you kind of get into it. Of course, what does he do now? He flies for trade winds. So he flies PC-12s. So I'm sure when the PC-12 does come out, which we expect it to come out any day now, I will definitely borrow him because I'm sure he'll be very, very helpful as far as explaining how all the systems and stuff work. Apparently, you could blow the tires if you hit the brakes too hard on it, which I'm like, huh? I figured there'd be something like stop that from happening. But hey, if you want to get that exit on the taxiway, don't be surprised if it explodes on you. Ooh, whoa, I'm at 200 feet. I felt decision height is a knob. This is awesome. One of the things I did not get to do because we were having some issues is I get to run the starter on this. This is an old school centrifugal starter, and it's wild that we have the electric version as opposed to the guy who has to sit out there and crank it version. But hey, I think it's kind of fun stuff. All right, let's take a gander. I'll take a gander. Just want to confirm everything is where I am. Flying in the real world absolutely corrupts a lot of, when you think about airplanes. Like I noticed, for example, there's an extra needle that's just chilling here. Kind of makes me nervous because I see it on all of them, but it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. So I guess I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe it's like a little shadow from like a nuclear blast or something. I don't know. PC-24. I can't speak to the PC-24 Deus. I'm not sure. I just know, like I said, the PC-12. And speaking of things coming out, I'm sure a few of you have heard Flight Sim 2024 will be coming out shortly. And not shortly, obviously next year. But the interesting thing there is they've had some kind of interesting things. There was actually a Flight Sim Expo going on right now. And during the Flight Sim Expo, for those of you who haven't seen the articles on this yet, they were actually discussing the fact that the new things that were coming into 2024, their biggest piece of information is how many units of Flight Simulator 2020 they sold. And it worked out to be 12 million people bought Flight Simulator 2020. And the best part was, and I loved this, was the fact that they did a bunch of market research on the folks who are not the hardcore crowd. I hate to say it, everybody, you folks are the hardcore crowd. And what they referred to, they actually discovered that about 1/4 of the total 12 million are the people, 3 million, I should say, are the folks who, do like what we're doing, fly flight and, fly this and learn the intricacies. But the other 3/4 of people who purchased Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 were much more casual. They got in an F-16, got their Xbox controller and went, whee, or did one of those kind of things. And they did it in a very casual, kind of random sort of way. But one of the things that the keynote guy was basically saying is when they asked, what do you want in this game? Everybody says we want something to do. Now, I know you're looking at me going, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm talking. The plane is flying itself, by the way. I'm not touching those controls until I have to get over the mountain range coming up here. But what had happened is people needed stuff to do. So for those of you who saw the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 trailer, you probably noticed every single thing was something. Aerial firefighting, dropping parachutists, doing helicopter work, doing helicopter work, doing helicopter work, doing helicopter work. All those are new missions that we're going to see. One of the things somebody had asked on my community page is if I could put together kind of my wish list for 2024. And that's the video coming out on Monday, for those of you who are curious kind of what I'm looking for in a game. Obviously, my needs are going to be different than your average player, but you kind of get a feel for that. Hey there, what's this? Well, if we lost that engine, at least we got somewhere to park this thing. Ha-ha! Awesome. Other things, of course, we had, for those of you who follow DCS, the F-15E came out last week. I've been flying that thing. It is different. It reminds me of an F-4 Phantom, not going to lie. It has that kind of quasi, we're not quite sure what we're doing, so we're just going to stick another button in and hope you figure it out kind of vibe to it, which I don't hate it. It's just different. I don't know. I find that kind of cool kind of a thing. Then, of course, there'll be add-ons to that. And I think I just saw somebody in a Strike Eagle a minute ago. Where did they go? Oh, Lafarog's way out there. Looks like we're going to get intercepted by him. Oh, boy. Nice. I was wondering when he was going to catch up to us. Now, the best part... Okay. The interesting part here is when we get closer to actual LAX proper, you'll see the amount of traffic will spike. It'll look just like the real world. Look at all these Airbuses like flying out to like Mexico City or like Phoenix Sky Harbor or something like that. Then, of course, we have the F-18E doing his little... I believe there's a bunch of Naval Air Force bases and Marine bases out this way, so it doesn't surprise me. Not bad. This thing's awesome. We should have done like a night flight. Simon, that is the most dangerous and awesome use of a DC-3 I've seen in a very long time. I don't know, I kind of like that picture. That's excellent. Oh man, that is awesome. I love it. Of course, everybody's like, how are we able to tune the autopilot so accurately? I cheated. Don't worry about it, though. Man, I've got to say, this is not the most exciting. Laughable Rog, try changing the server, seeing if you get people, and then changing the server back. That sometimes seems to work, but depending on where you are and depending on who's around, that can have a negative impact. We could all jump to another server too, but if we obviously pick the West USA server, there's just going to be a line of name tags across the screen like this. It's going to be incredibly messy. All right, we should probably take a look at our navigation real fast. We could do this the old-fashioned way if we wanted. Let's see how we're doing here. I think we're doing pretty well, to be honest. We can come to the right by like a degree. Our navigators are just absolutely killing it tonight. So this is EDW, Edwards. Big runway. Big runway. Oh, I'm reporting altitude. And we gotta get over these mountains, and then it's the sprawl. It is just so awesome once you get there. So other news, as you probably saw, we skipped last week because unfortunately it was an auto accident. They totaled my CRV. Aw, you know, that car had served us extremely well as a family for many years. And unfortunately, stuff happens. So the good news is insurance was very, very nice. They were able to take care of us. So we were able to get a new vehicle, which we actually got an EV, which has been a brand new learning experience for me. It's absolutely wild, that's to say the least. I would say it's the wave of the future, but it's not the wave of the future today. It will be the wave of maybe it's too far a wave of the future. Really, the big thing is just infrastructure. It's just not there yet. So as neat as it is and as great as it is, you really need to be able to charge the darn thing. So that's been kind of a fun new experience. Of course, my brain immediately goes, how about electric airplanes? Electric airplanes would be great. No, you can't do an electric airplane, not with the energy density of modern batteries. Not to mention the discharge cycles and the high temperatures. You're not going to be able to do it for a very long time. I wonder if you can do this. Nope. One of the fun things you can do in X-Plane is you can really stick your head literally anywhere. So if you want to float above it and sit up there, or you want to kind of float out of this hatch or something, sort of stick your head out and fly it from up top, you can. If you want to pretend you're doing wing walking, you can actually float over the edge of the wing and like stand on the wing and go, whoa, and kind of go across it. All right, I'm looking at those mountains off my nose. Yeah, Simon, yeah, definitely. Like I said, we were actually looking at hybrids originally, but we ended up with the EV because one of the nice things about where I work is they have a plug because it's just public and just boop right into it, like basically where I sit in my office. So it's like, okay. So it's just one of those things where it was an easier decision to make than expected, but we do all our charging at home basically right now. It's just tough. Control-Alt Lucas, I like that. 4K, sure. Let me see what I can do about that. Is it the desktop or is it my voice? All right, that's 6 decibels right there out of the middle of the audio frequency. Is that better or is that worse? Is it just in the audio? I don't know. You can let me know. I don't know. I mean, if I can fix my audio, why not? That's an easy fix. So a fun thing in the real world, of course, when you're flying airplanes is you have to deal with sound. And one of the things that my mom went flying with me, which I thought was wild, because she's like, couldn't believe that I was a pilot. But when I took her flying, she was basically saying, okay, what do you want to do? It's like, well, let's just go with a quick little down here and back kind of a thing with headphones. And she was just flabbergasted by how loud the airplane was. And that was a Mooney 20, which, not that it's a quiet plane, but it's not the loudest plane. I've been a little spoiled because I've been flying the Archer recently, and that's a nice 1998 Archer. And it's like slightly soundproofed. So you don't go deaf completely, you just go mostly deaf, which is actually kind of nice. I do have headphones, but as people would discover, you can barely hear anything anyway, unless you have really expensive headphones, but I'd rather take the money for the expensive headphones and, use it for other things. Down here while I'm thinking. Let's see here, it looks pretty good to me. Pretty good to me. Yeah, it does. It does. One of the things I just find so fascinating, like I was saying earlier about California, is just if you need somewhere to shoot a movie, um, what would you like? Would you like snow peaks? Would you like the desert? Would you like the sprawl, which we're going to see once we cross over the top of this? We'll probably take a couple minutes and go downtown as well. Oops, I'm buzzing. Awesome. Just give it a second, waiting to cross this tree. Am I going to get behind enough there? I'm pretty confident I did my MEA right here. We're going to be a little close, but I'm not worried about it too much. I just can't get over how flat this is. Like, obviously, this is pretty big. Like, I don't have mountains around here, like, where I live, that are that tall. But, like, my terrain does not look like this. It's not that flat. Even with the trees on it, it's just not that flat. And I love how everything is, like, grid. It's timber. Gotcha. Let me see what I can do about that. I might as well do some EQ work. I haven't done a lot of that in my day. Used to do a lot of video work. A little different, though. All right, James. I've knocked out 6 decibels from the mid-range. You'll have to let me know if that's a little better for you. 6 is a lot. World Travel Airlines, I love that. Oh man, that's gotta be, that's not Laugh-A-Rog, I'd be disappointed. Almost guarantee it. $5 in Laugh-A-Rog right there. Also, do you see different pilots than I do? Love it. Absolutely love it. Alright, let's do it to it. Okay, so flying in, when we're getting there, like I said, we're not too far out here. Los Angeles. I've been to Los Angeles once. When I was last in Los Angeles, it was actually for an international flight to Australia. I've told that story already. I'm not going to tell you about my 42-hour day. They feed you breakfast, then they feed you dinner, then they feed you breakfast again coming back from Australia. That's the short version. The long version I've told before, and it's kind of a fun story. But my experience with LAX was a bunch of, water treatment plants and that stuff. My wife's a huge fan of Disney. Oh, no! No! Well, when we finally meet up, Simon, I'll give you the $5. Although, I think the British pound is worth more, so you're getting gypped there. Bummer! Oh, well. You're right, he's flying a little wide on the tail there. Oh, well. But yeah, so that was my experience. But the wife really, really likes Disney. So you go down to Anaheim, you go to the original Disneyland, which, by the way, is some of the hotels around there are in like the most sketchy place you'd ever want to have a Disneyland hotel, apparently. But it's just one of those things where, like, there's everything here. Like, millions and millions and millions of people live just beyond this line. And, like, I think of my own state of Connecticut over in the other coast. We have 6 million people in a state. But, like, in an area 1/15 of that size, you have 16 million. It's insane. Like, when you have multiple Congress people for one city, that's mind-bogglingly high population. And that's one of those things that's just absolutely wild. Okay, let's take a look real quick here. Just want to double check real fast. Looks a little bit better there. Oh, so the Vision Jet's a great aircraft, by the way. Nice. Bummer. Simon's got the high guard here. Oh, there's Laugh-A-Rog. He's catching up. Now, one of the fun things in the real plane is this compass right here. Do you see how the box is jiggling up and down, but the compass is staying still? It's almost the opposite in a real plane. This would be jiggling around. The box would be also jiggling around, kind of a thing like that. That's one of the interesting things. Actually, to your point, dude. It's a fun way to say that. To your point, one of the things I found interesting about being in Europe is the concept of, it depends on where you go, though, dude. So if you want to measure the economic achievement of a region in the United States, just count up how many Starbucks there are per square mile. It's, like, factual. Somebody did a doctorate on it. It's hilarious. But over in Europe, everything's like the village system. So what you would get is you get, like, something like this. Village, nothing, nothing, nothing. Village, nothing, nothing, nothing. Village, nothing, nothing, nothing. Village. Kind of that sort of thing. Where in the U.S. it's like city, suburbs, kind of a thing like that. All right, cool. So you want to see something real cool? Watch this. play with that real quick. So the sun obviously sets, the last point in the U.S. would be in Alaska, way on the tip of the illusions there. But when you do crank down the lighting just a little bit, it actually makes it a little more obvious where the buildings and stuff are, because you get slightly better contrast. But I'm looking out my window, and I'm getting a little close to those mountains there. And I'm doing the calculation, and I'm definitely not going to make it. I guess it was 7,500 feet. Now, who calculated this flight? Man, this thing is such a peach to fly. It's got just a little bit of the wiggle waggle to it. Like, it's not like in your face. There we go. Look at all the scratches there. Somebody's got to be a little more careful when you're cleaning the window, because you scratch that up real nice, and those windows are literally, you can't find pieces to those anymore. It's not like they make these anymore. There are still, I think, 21 or 22 still flying, which is just amazing. Settings here. They took away my high performance supercharger setting. I'm a little disappointed about that. Still getting 40 inches at like 8,000. That's pretty good. To have this little yellow handle here, you could jam that forward, but if you read the sign, wah, high performance blower inoperative. Terrain. So fun story about TAW. It's not really a fun story, but just sort of amusing. So the aircraft, when I fly, I have a couple different applications that I use on my tablet so that I can keep an eye on things. Again, backups are really important. I can't emphasize that enough if I've learned anything from really flying. But on the particular tablet that I use, if you use Flight Plan Go as the application, if you get low or this terrain, it makes the sound from Metal Gear Solid when somebody when there's some low terrain or an obstacle detected. So you just fly in here, bling, like one of those kind of a things. And again, people who know that sound from Metal Gear when somebody detects your footsteps or whatever are very familiar with that one. And Grider's still finding one that's awesome. There we go. One of the fun things I was actually reading about, I read a whole article on the DC-3 today, because, got to prepare for things. And the guy was basically explaining how he got type rated in a DC-3, like, in 2020. And I'm like, wait, what? Kind of a thing like that. But yeah, you can get type rated in one of these still. The only requirement is the private pilots, and obviously you got to be multi, and you don't have to be tail endorsed, because they'll endorse you for it to fly this plane. I believe his comments were along the lines of, it was like $700 an hour to fly it, which, that's bad, but it's not terrible. They're turboprops and more expensive than that to fly per hour. All right. But basically what he was commenting on is the fact that it's, if this thing's light, you can stall at the speed of a 172. And the other thing he was commenting on is that when you go to land it, you basically just pull the throttle and coast in. You don't have to do anything fancy with it. And just because it just has so much lift. All right, let's go ahead and back the weather up again. I want to see the sprawl. If I'm smart, I'll put the sprawl on my other side so it's easier to see. There we go. Lovely ridge lift. I was flying in Vermont a little while ago, and ridge lift is real. You get hit with it, and it just shakes up the plane, something like you have not experienced before. All right, a couple taps, the good stuff right there. I have to go double check to see if we're on course. I haven't actually looked in a while. Navigator, how we doing? Now, I might visualize my navigator coming out with a tan cap, and the cap part, sort of the front part of the hat, is flipped upwards right now. That's what I expect. Whoop, we're off course. Come on, buddy, you're better than that. Of course, there's a great line in the movie Airplane, as you know. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I believe it's Airplane 2. Buddy went to pieces. No, Buddy was the navigator. One of those kind of things. And it's always kind of amusing when you finally see that piece again. All right, cool. So we're back on course. Like I said, I just need a heading. I don't need anything else. About 180 out of this thing. It's really nice. It feels like it's climbing. Yeah, it's got a little bit of upwards pressure. One of the other things that the guy was reading about is he was commenting on the fact that in the DC-3 that he flew, there wasn't an original part on the plane. It was a situation where the only thing they think was original is there's this little placard, which is right here on my right, up here, that tells you when the aircraft was accepted. So like you can see it was delivered in March of 1944, and you can see it was actually accepted on the June 3rd of 1944. And you can even see like the numbers and all that kind of stuff like that. But one of the things is he was basically commenting nothing else in the plane is original. That's all we got. The wheels are changed, the glass is changed, the frame had been replaced so many times, all the different control cables and wires. None of the instruments in here were remotely the same. Like if you look at this, clearly the same company made all three of those instruments there. But in the real plane, you'd be lucky. And one needle is a little bent funny. One engine's not quite working the same way. It's just, it's a loose collection of spare parts moving in formation, I believe is the expression. I feel like I need to push the green light and eject a bunch of parachutists out the back. These mountains are incredible. I just love the fact that it goes from sprawl. Look at the sprawl. All the way to, oh, would you like to shoot in the mountains? Here you go. And there's oh, hello. Matter of fact, I think there's a ski slope down there or something like that. Looks like a dam. Yeah, right on their left is that dam. All right, let's go visit with Los Angeles here. Nobody gets over the Macho Grande. So, AJ, the funniest thing that you mentioned there is I actually bought, I have that as a shirt. Nobody gets over Macho. I'm remembering Macho Grande. It has a fake ear and everything like that. Well, we're going to come in really low, so they won't detect us by radar. What time are you leaving? Oh, I can't tell you that. It's classified. Still an amazing movie. The second one's weird. For those of you also for Airplane, if you're a big fan, make sure you go watch the movie Hot Shots. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to watch kind of a generic sort of making fun of Top Gun and stuff like that in one piece, the movie's absolutely amazing. Just the humor is right on, and then of course my military folks will really appreciate some of the kind of in-jokes there at the same time as wanton disrespect for any safety protocols on so many different parts of that movie, and just the way they just don't care about the flying at all. Oh my god, it cracks me up every day. Also, they have big 28s in that movie too. All right, Los Angeles, here we are. The incredible thing about Los Angeles, I just can't get over how many people live here. I live in the woods essentially. My neighbor, I could see my neighbor, but this is giving me anxiety. Just look at it. I've been to Paris, I've flown over London, I've been to Melbourne, Rome and everything like that. Amazing cities, but it's just not this dense. This is just incredible. And the fun part, of course, is over there on my right. The actual city proper is actually right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, what is the name of that route? I do not know California at all. Got to figure out what the name of that route is so we can go ride it into town. Yes, part 2 is excellent, James. It's just such a stupid movie, but I have such a soft spot for bad movies like that. I don't know why. I'm going to go downtown real fast. All right, did anybody get his tickets to the China Theater? Because I've always wanted to check that out. Look at how many people are over the city right now. That is just wild. All right, I think that highway right there is going to be our lucky victim here. I'm not over speeding it. I'm just speeding it a little bit. That's all. Double check my settings here. Airplane's going to get very cold. This is such a bad thing to do to an engine. I think I'm not even remotely, not even close. I don't know how good these engines are, but I promise you they would not like this. Of course, another amazing movie. No, Tailspin is not a classic American aviation there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go visit downtown real fast because we're here. So one of the things, when I was back in high school and I was going through driver's education, I don't know what you guys, folks call it around the world, but it's driver's ed for us. But one of the things that we had to do is watch a lot of videos, and these videos would show you all sorts of problems with driving, and the vast majority of videos were clearly made in California because all the styles, all the vehicles, all the road types were all in California. So I remember as a student of these things, I'm like, wow, California must be really dangerous to drive in. People are literally running into you, going on the wrong side of the road. They're smashing the front end of your car as you're just driving in a straight line. There's balls bouncing across the freeway. It's just kind of one of those things where like, oh, California's just very, very dangerous, I suppose. But of course, at the end of the day, it can't be that dangerous. Gosh, look at how many people live here. What happens like Amazon delivery or something like that. You'd have like not 10 Amazon delivery drivers for this region. You'd have 1,000,000. It's crazy. Wow, that's not normal. Should probably get that looked at. All right, downtown. There's an F-22 coming to come say hello. By the way, if you have any doubt where LAX is, just follow the traffic. Look at this. This is so insane. Oh, gosh. So one of the things I am very frustrated with personally, and I've complained about this before, is that, the United States, much of the world, including my own country, thinks that the United States is California. One of the problems is a lot of our media comes from California, so as a result, that's kind of people's perception of what it is. And it's just not. It's so interesting because there's so much more to this country than just this region. Yes, it's a convenient place to shoot movies, and the weather's great and everything like that. But, no, this is not my whole country. It's just like the folks who live in England. All of England isn't London. And then even like when we were in France, not all of France is obviously Paris. When I think of France, there's some amazing mountains in the south. You've got the whole rural countryside. You've got like the Normandy region. There's so many amazing places. There we go. A little bit of speed now that we're getting a little closer here. And then, of course, you watch the television shows that come out of this region. It's like, wow, this house, oh yeah, their budget is $500,000 for a house. Are you kidding me? I have some money, but I don't have $500,000. Not for a house. No, seems the apocalypse has come. Yes. Hey, I appeared. Nice. Oh man, that is such an amazing formation here. That's our picture right there in case we lose it earlier. All right, downtown Los Angeles. Let's go. So another fun movie is the movie Spy Hard. Not the greatest quality movie. For those of you who like Leslie Nielsen movies, for those of you who have seen that one, it's not the best. But there's a really fun thing, of course, when they land at LAX and you have the little voice coming over and announcing, welcome to Los Angeles. Bienvenue a Los Angeles. City of the Angels, Ciudad de Los Angeles. And then they're like, where is Maria? ¿Dónde está Maria? Maria is in the library. Maria está en la biblioteca. And it's just one of those where it's like, but that's one of those things I always remember about that movie and, of course, this region. So my understanding is in real Los Angeles, they have a significant frame drop as well whenever they're coming to point at the city here. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. And we should go see the Hollywood land sign. But we won't. Oh, by the way, Simon was asking about the smoke. Yes, the smoke was really bad. The smoke was actually so strong from the Canadian wildfires that it actually put us all under IFR conditions. So it was actually that bad. Last year we had smoke from the wildfires also. But in that time, there was actually a situation where they were coming back from a training flight. They were on final approach, and the airport went IFR, and they had to cancel the approach. And then they had to go all the way around and go do all of that all over again. So it was like, but then they had to declare IFR, and it's like, but I could have just landed, it would have been safer. James, I have been to France, yes. France was, we actually went there for a honeymoon. We went to Paris, and of course, we went to some of the regions around it. And my French is limited to, hi, how are you? Give me a second. Where's X, Y, and Z? Do you take credit cards? Or ordering anything that I need to order, stuff like that. Again, really boring conversational parts of French, which is not bad, but it got me through a week of France, and it was neat. Like I said, very, 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 very neat. All right, well, let's go ahead and bring ourselves around now and start making our way over to our destination. One of the things I liked about France is the bread is amazing, and it's cheap. And people are like, well, the French, what about the regular food? Yeah, the regular food is, their good food is like our good food over here in the States. But their bread is fantastic. Wine's pretty good, too. Oh my gosh, just look at this. It's like megacity. If you sit here and look at this, you gotta see this. Yes, you won't be able to see, but... Look at this! Look at that! this hurts my feelings. I cannot. It's just like, it's too much. Like, I guess that's making me anxious. All right. Okay, let's get away from LAX. We're not going to LAX. Going down to John Wayne. All right, now we're terribly lost. Let's get unlost. You need so much right rudder when you take a turn in this thing. All right, let's see how bad I was. Oh my gosh. Hey, I know. Oof. Man, we got way off course here. My bad. Sorry, everybody. Now, the problem is when I think of Edwards Air Force Base and I think of California, I think of 1950s sci-fi B movies. I have the biggest soft spot in the world for those kinds of movies. For like, I just don't know why. I love them, but like, like in the days when everything was like a YP-80 or it was like, like the, oh my gosh, it's the F-82, I think is the plane I'm going for here. And like, you had like those early F-86s, like the Fs and stuff like that. And like, for some reason, the hero always had his own private jet. And it was like, what? But I always think of that with this particular region. All right, let's see. Chemin le canal de la mer, avancez sur Montedon. Lobster and truffles, of course. Fly, my pretties. Nice reference to the Wizard of Oz there. Wicked, by the way, was not a fan of, but again, I'm allowed to have opinions on things. This is killing me. There's so many people. I wonder if the houses actually look like that. This is, we should have done this one like Wright Flyers or something like that. That would have been very appropriate. Now, one of the things I was mentioning earlier was the possibility of doing this with that sim, but then you have to deal with SoCal, and I've had more than one person who I've known as pilots have to deal with SoCal, and basically you say hi, and then 20 minutes later they say bye, and that's this limit of the communication because of just how many airplanes fly through this region. Easy peasy. Whoa! That's the Los Angeles air travel for you. Beep beep. Yep, there we are. That's where I'm trying to go. Nice. All right, let's put this thing down on the ground. So the fun thing, of course, is when I fly in the real world, I fly with my wife almost exclusively, who's a fantastic co-pilot. And she does like a great job of like, kicking me if I like forget a checklist or something like that. So like without like her as a co-pilot, like I feel like I can't fly safely because it's just one extra set of eyes. But this would be the point where we'd be like, all right, before landing, and she'd go and sit there and say, all right, seatbacks, upright, okay, seatbelts, tightens, okay, lights, communication, clearance and stuff like that, going through the whole list kind of a thing. And what would always happen is in the Mooney, which is a very fast plane, you get like 2/3 of the way through the checklist and stop because you haven't slowed the plane down enough to put the landing gear down yet. So it's one of those where it's like whole checklist until we're finished the downwind leg kind of a thing like that because we're just going too darn fast. It's just incredible. Whoop! That's all right. Now landing this thing is a bear, and in the flight sim it is much harder than it is in the real world. I'm not sure why. If I crash, too bad. Y'all gonna have to forgive me for the incompetence there. It's actually not our airport. We need to come to the left a little bit. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to be on a long final here. Come to my left just a little bit. Problem is I saw this and got excited. Again, welcome to the problems with having all these international airports right on top of each other. Right there. That's better. See, flying a helicopter into downtown Los Angeles, that's what we should have done, but this DC-3 is such an awesome plane. Yep, enjoy, James. Unfortunately, unfortunately, one of the things we do is with the EV, of course, if you can find a public charger, you plug your car in. We're very lucky that there's a public charger for us like half a mile away. So I just plug the car in, set your reminder, go take a walk, come back, get the car. It's like, oh, sweet. It's like putting gas in it, but it takes 4 hours. It's just wild. Oh, you're going to miss the landing. Sorry, James. You can catch it on the replay. I'm not great at landing this plane. I'm not going to lie. I can do it better in VR. I'm just garbage at it in flat screen. There's just something about the depth perception of the height on this that I have such a tough time with. I'm going to go right by this airport. Our destination's right there, basically. Like I said, I did want to see downtown. Let's see here. What do we got for an altitude? One of the things I love is they have this. Oh, go away. Oh, is it gonna go away? Whoa! I just saw it. Of course, is the moment I look away. No, I don't want desired heading. I want yoke visibility. All right, fine, be that way. I love this old school indicator. The old Army variety. All right, let's keep cruising around. Not got to fly a lot lately, unfortunately. It's been terrible weather here. We had this wave of like this wind where it just wouldn't stop. And then, of course, the rain started, and the rain will stop sometime, probably next Sunday. Probably should do a bunch of IFR videos like that. But next week we'll have stuff with helicopters, and we'll have stuff. Somebody said you should do what you want to see in the new version of Flight Sim, so I did a video on that. Easy. That's not us either. I believe it's another one. And now ready to start the bombing run. Copy. Somebody beat us back already? This thing is so cool. I can't get over how fast it is for how big it is. We always talk about, what airplane meets your mission needs, kind of a thing like that. And this is good if you have a lot of extended family and, you have to, take everybody at the same time. All right, that's us. We always like to joke, a Cardinal 6 kind of a thing. Or not a Cardinal, I'm sorry, Cherokee 6. All righty, let's do it. Took a shortcut. Yeah, I took a little shortcut there, Snessera. Of course, this would be towered, so they'd be like, make left traffic, da-da-da-da-da-da. We're not going to do left traffic or anything like that. We should have done this with a brake. We should have done the nice Army way. Oh, well. Missed my chance. Let's see who's down there on the ground. Snessera's waiting for us. I got a really good picture in the air. I think I'm going to use that one for tonight. So sorry if I missed anybody who was with us on the ground. 22 left and 22 right. Douglas, 6-4, crossing midfield, 2-2. Entering to left downwind for 2-2. This thing is such a truck. I love it. Oh, golf course, golf course. Great place for a golf course, guys. Right there next to the airport. Don't worry about the buzzer. The buzzer is just to say that the last question was incorrect. The flaps fully deployed on this one give you 300% more drag. Nico-sana, the best way to find the windsock in the rail fields is, I'm not going to lie, what I do is if you look at the airport diagram, it has a picture of where the sock is. So when you're trying to find the sock in the real field, what I do is I just look where it is, where I expect it to be, and then try to get it. The other thing I have that, again, this is why I love having a co-pilot for these things, is I actually have a pair of binoculars, and they're like the little kind of travel golf binoculars, and they really, really make a difference if you can get the plane steady enough to actually look through them. But when I do use that, it does make it a little bit easier to see those things like the stock. Now, remember what I was saying earlier about my landing on this thing. It's not going to be pretty. Again, a lot of the reason I struggle landing with this thing is just the perspective is just no good for me. This is a wheel landing tail dragger. This is not a three-pointer. Probably do the wheel landing on it. I love the two shadows there. That's awesome. But I would not recommend it because it's really hard on the landing gear. Much better to land on the front two and then sink it. So according to technique, you should be able to cut the power from 10 feet up and just let it glide down without any action on your part, except maybe a little tiny bit of flare. So in flight training, we call these inside-out maneuvers. This is when you're looking out the window and you're trying to watch where you're going at the inside at the same time. Love these superchargers slowing down. Such a nice sound. We're high. Hey, what is this, Silicon Valley? That's how much I know about California. Okay. Short final, 2-2 left. I'll go 6-4. And I feel like a bomber pilot. Just the... concentrated this time. We're here. Oh man, now that's a DC-3 break. We're here. All right. Cool. Missed the first turnoff, but we're a DC-3, so it doesn't matter. Here's the trick. Don't press the parking brake. Oh, this is why I like having co-pilots. All right, let's go. We're here. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Good show, everyone. Good show, everyone. Great plane. This thing's so sweet. And for those of you who do have VR, try this one out. You'll be so tickled. It's so amazing, especially if you have good headphones and you can just hear the roar of the engines, and it has like the supercharger, like it makes this nice little whine sound from the transmission on it. So normally we take a picture, but I got a great picture already in flight today. Thank you, everybody who was a part of that picture. This is so cool. Look at that. That is so awesome. All right, so as always, we reached the end. Now it's time for some QA. If anybody has any questions or some suggestions for us, this would be a great time to sort of let us know. I'd be very curious if there's any particular videos that you're interested in making in the future, stuff you'd like me to go into more detail. We had a big avionics update, as many people probably observed. So obviously I'll be exploring a little bit of that in the next couple of weeks, and I'll try to come up with some more stuff to do with some helicopters. One of these days I should probably play the actual missions that came with this game, but I'm okay with that. And I feel like I gotta crash this thing, but like, it's such a classic, I just can't do it. Can't bring myself to do it, so I'm actually gonna park it properly tonight. This is so sweet. I love just having my hand on the throttles and just like doing both engines like separately from each other. It's so satisfying. Tap that brake. The tail wheel is not nearly this good, by the way. So what you would normally do is you'd sit here like this, you'd push your left foot all the way forward, you'd jam on the right engine, and that's usually as much as you need. All right, keeping an eye on the comments in case anybody has any questions, comments, kind of a thing. Like I said, I'm just going to park it and call it, kind of a thing. Sorry about, again, for the delay in getting us started tonight, but like I said, we were trying to deal with Microsoft's exciting updates there. There it is. All right, let's run it out. So what we're supposed to do to run this thing out is we're actually supposed to disable this last. So what you do is you take the engine you want to shut down, you run it up, and then you pull the mixture back until it cuts out, and you push forward until it dies completely. Nice. All right, go run the other one out. Ah, I did it before I did it. The thing ran really well with no fuel. I'm actually kind of impressed. Then you shut the magnetos off. All right, folks, other than that, I didn't see any other questions or comments, which is awesome. Please have a wonderful night. Fly safe, drive safe, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Enjoy.